All right, Ray, check this out. So I'm experiencing this at my used car dealership. I sell cars that are $5,000 and under, but the managers, the salespeople I'm talking to, we're having a massive amount of consumers come in that they already have negative equity, and then it's now even bleeding in to the actual loans that are being written, where we have these delinquency rates that are at the highest that we've seen since like 2008. And it's becoming a big problem in the car market, specifically for a lot of these new car buyers that are trying to buy a car, wait 3 years, buy their next new car, wait 3 years, buy their next new car. And to them, negative equity has never been an issue for them, and dealerships have been able to get around it. But now we're seeing negative equity that's $10, $15, $20,000, and a lot of these consumers are stuck in their cars. And then on top of that, the consumers that do have a lot of this negative equity, well, they're just not paying their bills. How does this bode for the car market going forward?
Not well. It's like a summer rerun in a sense. We've all seen this picture before. We've all seen this show before. I think the last time this show really played out like this was 2007, 2008, 2009. And it's as if we were watching that again, where we have higher delinquency rates on loans, and on average, it's 5.1% of all the loans out there that are 60. I think it was 60 or 90 days delinquent or more. But that really varies by region and by state when you really dig into the numbers. But you take the high delinquency rates, and then you take the amount of negative equity. And my son and I were just talking about this earlier today, that the average negative equity today on people trading in existing car loans is like $6,745 of negative equity that they're trying to roll into their next loan. Good news is that's slightly down from the highest, but it was $500 higher than it was same time a year ago. And then you look at everything that's going on as far as the cost of all goods, and everybody's stretched to the max at the moment. I don't think it's just the car market that's screaming. I'm pretty sure housing market's screaming. Here's an interesting take for you. Come Saturday, if the United States and Canada don't reach some type of trade agreement, the tariffs on Canadian imports will be 35%. The vast majority of the lumber that we use in this country to build homes and things comes from, come on, can you guess? Comes from Canada. So homes are already out of price for people. If there's going to be a 35% tariff on Canadian lumber, how's that ever going to make homes more affordable for people? So the housing market's going to get worse. The car market's getting worse. There's a slow. So where the hell are we headed, other than perhaps for a repeat of 2007, 2008, 2009?
Well, I want to pull this up, and it says that younger generations are struggling the most with loan payments. And the reason I want to highlight this is because we're ushering in a new generation of new car buyers that are in their early 20s to late 20s, that this is the only car market that they've ever seen. So is it going to be that when they go and buy their next car, they're like, well, I mean, this is what happened last time, so I'm just going to do this again? And then do we just create this whole generational thing surrounding car buyers where, okay, I'm just going to have car payments, I'm not going to be able to afford them, or I'm going to barely get by on them, I'm going to have so much negative equity, I can't even see the other side of actually paying off this car? Am I just going to basically rent a car for a while, and that's what I'm doing basically from loan to loan?
Well, pretty much. And when you think about it, every young person has gone through this. Every generation has gone through this in the sense of when you're a first-time car buyer. The difference today is that the cost of the cars is so unbelievably expensive, and the interest to finance them and loan terms, the interest is higher than it's been in 20 years, and loan terms are longer than they've ever been in the history of automotive. So these poor young people are faced with a situation that's far worse than what your generation faced or what my generation faced. So it's going to be difficult for these young kids who get in over their heads now to ever find themselves in a position where they can be solvent financially when it comes to their car loans.
So let's talk about you. You've spent a lot of years in the car industry dealing with negative equity. I'm joking here, but a lot, right?
Yeah,
So
no, it's been a lot.
So anyway, I want to talk about some of the levers that these dealerships can pull, and I want to talk about why it's so difficult for them right now. Because these sales managers I'm talking to, these GMs that I'm talking to, they were all, every time that I talk to them, they're like, you know what, we used to be able to deal with this all the time, no problem. We'll roll, or lease them out or whatever. But what are some things that managers, that dealerships can actually do to deal with small amounts of negative equity? And then let's talk about what they're dealing with right now. So what in your experience have you done to actually deal with this over your years?
It's all in how a deal is structured. Okay, it has to be structured in a way that makes sense to a bank. Okay, so what do I mean by that? If somebody is negative in their existing trade, you might not show a front end discount on the car to the bank, but you can show a huge over allowance on the trade in that then makes it appear as if they actually have some equity that they're putting down. If there's cash rebates from the manufacturer, you list those as cash down as opposed to just reducing the selling price, so to make it seem to the lending institution that the customer's putting something down.
You just lie to the bank. That's all we got to do. Just lie to the bank.
Well, you're structuring it in such a way that it looks better to the bank, and yeah, in essence, it's a shell game in essence. Because
so what let me put this in some layman's terms so some of our viewers might be able to understand this. So I went and played golf today, and I want to structure how these shots came together to show you that I got a birdie on this hole.
Yeah.
The thing about it is maybe we don't count my second duff that I had, that I just picked the ball up and come back to my spot, hit it, and then okay, let's not talk about the tee shot because we get mulligans every once in a while. And then that putt that was 5 feet, I would normally on a regular day make that putt.
Yeah,
so
that was a gimme.
I had a birdie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let's not even talk about your foot wedge that you used.
Yeah, so this is how we structure the deal on the golf course also.
It's all how it's presented to the bank.
Yeah.
And you're going to present it in such a light that it looks good. And your hope is that the bank never digs deep to go, whoa, this is pure unadulterated BS. And so that's what dealerships do. It's all, I mean, listen, I know of dealerships. I didn't work at any of them. I'm going to tell you this up front. I didn't work at any of them. But I know of dealerships where they would do a dealership rebate, and the dealer would stroke a check, sure, to the customer so that the customer could then use that as a down payment. Now, I will tell you, when I first started in the business and I didn't know any better, that oftentimes we would submit a customer for a bank loan, and we knew the customer didn't have any money. And so when we did that, we would also submit them to Household Finance Corporation for a personal loan that they could use for their down payment, and might not necessarily put that as an obligation on their credit app to the bank for the car loan, that's where the down payment was coming from. That was before I knew any better. I mean, literally, when I first started in the business, and some of the things that you would see, it was. I think the term for it would be fraud. It was fraudulent. And once I realized what was going on, I didn't want to participate in that anymore. So yeah, there's all kinds of levers that dealers can pull and have pulled. It's the best piece of advice you could ever give somebody is, if you get into a car loan, pay the damn thing off. I mean, don't look to trade it. If you have a 4-year car loan, don't look to trade out of it in 3 years. If you have a 6-year car loan, 72 months, don't look to trade out of it in 3 years or 4 years. And if you have an 84-month, which is a 7-year car loan, ladies and gentlemen,
you gotta live in it.
Yeah, plan on keeping that damn thing for 7 years and pay it off. The worst financial mistake you can make is to try and trade out of your vehicle early when you have negative equity and roll that negative equity into your next loan, and then your next and your next and your next. And eventually you get to a point where a bank looks at it and just says no.
All right, so those are the normal situations that you probably dealt with on a day in, day out basis with negative equity.
Yes.
What was the Hail Mary play? What was the customer came in, bought your top line Acura, whatever, you guys were getting paid on it, commission was getting paid out on it, F&I was getting paid on it. We wanted to make this deal happen, but the consumer at that time had $10,000-$15,000 of negative equity. What was the Hail Mary play to get this thing across
I will relate a deal for you where the people were like $15,000 or $18,000 upside down on their trade, and they wanted a new MDX. And this was at a time when everybody and their brother was always either refinancing their house and taking cash out, or they had a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, and they would use it. And these people, I said, this doesn't make good financial sense. And they looked at me and they said, we want it. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to utilize $18,000 of our home equity line of credit so that we can come to the table even on our trade. Forgetting that, they have 10 years or 15 years to pay off the home equity line of credit instead of the 5 years they were in their existing loan. So it was like, I've seen people do things like that, which to me made absolutely no sense at all. I mean, there's no way you can look at that and go, yeah, no, we'll pay 10 years of interest on that $18,000 instead of just paying off the damn loan that we had in the amount of time we were supposed to pay it off. And the reason we're willing to do it is, we just want this new vehicle. So I've seen things like that where as a salesperson and as a sales manager, you'd sit there and you'd counsel the couple and you go, this doesn't make good financial sense, folks. This is not a good plan. And I can tell you, psychologically, when you say that to a customer, what the customer says is, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to use my car. And realistically, I didn't really want them to buy the car. By being honest with them, it was like, it became, don't tell me what I can do or I can't do. Okay.
I don't know how many times we're getting to my car dealership. This is the other end of the spectrum of what we're talking about. Cars that are under $5,000. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to talk people out of buying one of my cars because we find something wrong with it after they get there. And I'm like, look, you don't know how to fix this. We're not sure exactly how much it's going to cost or exactly what the problem is. I want you not to buy this car, and then I'm going to go get it checked out. They're like, you know what? I'll take it. we'll figure it out. That has happened more times than it's almost like that reverse psychology. I'm not trying to do that. You weren't trying to do that, but it's almost like exactly what you're saying. No, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to buy this car, and you know what? In my screwed up mind too, I'm the same. If somebody tells me I'm not going to do something, I'm not able to do something, I'm going to do it. Go back to the golf course today. We had a group in front of us. They were on the green. My producer who was with me playing, he said, well, you're not going to be able to get there. I was like, okay. And I rolled it up on the green behind him.
Don't tell me I can't.
Yeah, don't tell me I can't do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to hit somebody's golf cart today.
Yeah, it is. You know, when I first started in the business and I realized that there was that level of reverse psychology in, you know, don't tell a customer what they can't do, because if you tell them what they can't do, they're going to prove to you that they can do it. And you know, when I first started, I used that to my advantage. As I got deeper into my career, I mean, I literally meant it when I would say to customers, this is not good. This is not a good, I can't sit here and recommend to you that you do this. And I was sincere in that. And I've never figured out a way to do that while being sincere, where it didn't go the opposite of the way I wanted it to go for the people. Because it just invariably, when you try and talk sense to people, they don't want to hear it. Okay. And when you try and talk sense to them, it just reinforces in their mind why they need to do it, as opposed to why they shouldn't do it. And that was the one aspect of being involved in the selling of cars that I hated, because I don't know how many times after the fact, you know, when the people would come back later, 3 years later, and they want to, and you can't get them out. I had a customer who bought a replica car of something or another, and it was like, he did it on, I told him not to do it. Okay. I said, you don't want to do this. It's not worth anywhere near what you're going to pay for it. And then when you want to get rid of it, you're going to be so far upside down, you're going to be shocked. Did it anyway. Came back 3 years later. Well, I need to get out of it. I understand the need. I just don't know how to make that happen for you. You are so upside down. People just don't want to accept good, solid advice. They would rather just go ahead and do what they know they shouldn't do, and worry about the consequences of that decision 3 or 4 or 5 years later.
So I got a question for you. There was we talk about pull forward in demand, lagging in demand, people that will hold off or trade down, and I feel like we can see a situation where these consumers that were consumers every 3 to 5 years, now they're getting pushed back a couple years because they have to. They can't get into a new car because they have $10,000, $15,000 of negative equity, especially all the ones that bought in the last 3 to 4 years, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like it's going to create a vacuum of a lot of these would-be buyers over the next 3 to 4 years when they're ready to upgrade, and then we're going to have this awful cycle of sales that come down on the new side, and then also it's going to hit my market, it's going to hit the used car market, because we're going to have fewer trade-ins that come into the market over this time frame, and we're just going to be hurting for at least inventory on the new franchise side and the used side because of the inverse nature of how it is in the course of what the next 3 to 5 years would be my guess.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, there are so many times that dealerships do things that are not in the dealership's long-term best interest. And what are ways that they can do that when they add just huge amounts of crap to a car or sell huge amounts of extras to a customer and then extend the loan term from 60 months to 72 to 84 months. And, the dealerships, we made a sale today. Okay, but you're preventing that sale you would have been able to make 3 years from now. And you're pushing that customer back from a 3-year turn to maybe a 5 or a 6-year term. So they don't look at what the long-term effect of a particular sale may be. They look at the short-term profit that was made either on the front end or on the back end through the financing. They revel in that. They high-five each other in that. And then 4 years from now, they're going, well, I don't know how to get the customer out of that car. I mean, I know they want to get out, but I don't know how to do it. And so that's part of the problem, is that the salespeople are compensated in such a way, and sales managers are compensated in such a way that they never look beyond the end of any given month. So they're never going to look deeper into the future as to how this could impact future sales. And they're all about to find out that it's going to become grossly more difficult for them to take their previous customers in many cases and put them into their next car when the customer wants it to happen, as opposed to when it can happen.
You know how I feel like the car market is going to look at this and fix this whole situation? Fix the situation. We're gonna in the near future start seeing 9 and 10-year loans.
Yes. No, absolutely. There is no way around that. I mean, if prices continue to go up, the only avenue to then make payments affordable is to continually extend the loan term. And people don't look. Payment buyers, which are 85% of the people out there, payment buyers don't look at anything beyond what that monthly payment is. I can afford no more than $750 a month. That's all they care about. 700. They don't care. They don't care that it's for 7 years. They don't care that it's for 8 years. They won't care that it's for 10 years. All they know is, for the time being, they can afford to pay that $750 a month. 3 years from now, when they're out of warranty and they have a repair and they still have, I don't know, 4 more years left on their car loan or 5 more years left on their car loan, and they want to get out of it, they're done. They're stuck. But if a dealership at that point in time can figure out how to structure the deal to make it look good to the bank,
how to lie to the bank,
that's what's going to happen. That's I mean, think about it. We just keep kicking the can down the road by extending loan terms. When I first got into the industry,
I was just about to ask you this question. What was a normal loan term when you were doing it?
When I first started in 1977, 24 months. 24 months, 2 years. Okay. On a push, you went to 36 months. That was it. I mean, we were talking about cars that were $3,000-$4,000.
By the time you were getting out, what was the normal payment? No, I mean term.
By the 72 months.
Yeah.
I remember as a closer at a store where, we would just have a payment and we never showed a term, and people would go, well, what's the length of the loan? And, it could have been 48 months. All the closers were taught to say, well, I believe that's probably the standard 60-month loan, but if you need extended terms to 72 months, I'm sure we could make that happen for you. It's all a shell game, and because most people are payment buyers, that's all they fixate on. every video that Zach and I do when we talk about the out the door price, there's a reason we talk about the out the door price, because that's what you should be focused on, not what that's going to be. You should know prior to going into a dealership what your comfortable payment can afford, what you can actually buy with that payment. But you shouldn't ever go into a dealership looking to buy a car and just spitting out, I'll take the car as long as you can make my payment no more than $500 a month, and then you'll happily sign and walk out at $600 a month.
And the thing that I worry about too, you're talking about housing market earlier, and we can just tie this into all of this. Is I feel like we're right around the corner. I mean, I've already heard of it, but we're right around the corner from the normal mortgage being like 40 years. We're a rock's throw of it. I would believe, with the prices of housing and the affordability that, people can't afford new prices, especially. I would assume when you were coming out of school, when people were coming out of college, even in the 80s, the 90s, like they could go and buy a new house. That's non-existent for kids coming out of college now. There's no situation where you're going to be able to go and buy the average house. What is that going to be, like a $300,000 house? That's probably a cheap house.
Yeah, the first house I bought was $50,000. Okay. How many years ago was that? That was in the late 70s, early 80s. So yeah, it is. Listen, what's the average length of a mortgage in Japan? Do you know?
In like 100 years?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you buy a house in Japan, it is the family home, and that mortgage cost will get passed down to the next generation.
You're just getting a mortgage on your coffin.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so where are we headed? We're headed in the same direction. It could take a long time before we get to 100-year mortgages in this country. But, when I first bought a house, it was a 15-year mortgage, a 10-year mortgage, or a 15-year mortgage. Maybe if you pushed, it was 20 years. Today, the average mortgage is a 30-year mortgage. And you're right. A 40-year mortgage is right around the corner. And why is that? Because home buyers are payment buyers. When interest rates go up, everybody said, well, the interest rates have to come down so the homes can become affordable again. The homes have never been affordable. It's the monthly payment that made it seem like it was affordable. The fact that you were paying back twice the cost of the home because of the interest on that mortgage never occurred to anybody. All they knew is, well, the equity they would have when they go to sell their home. We are financially, in many cases, illiterate. And we have just fallen prey to whatever. Just tell me what the monthly payment is and whether or not I can afford that.
The good thing about at least the mortgage situation is that homes typically go up in value.
Yes,
but your cars are going to go down in value. And the other problem with the cars is a lot of these cars, they ain't gonna last 10 years.
No, they will not. And that's the other issue. I mean, houses will last in most cases, and that's not to say that if you buy a house and you have a 30-year mortgage on it, that you're not going to incur expenses of maintaining that home during that 30-year period of time that you're paying it off, because you will. I live in a condominium, and for the first 5 years that I lived here, our monthly condominium fees never changed. Well, that's because they were putting off doing stuff that needed to be done. And okay, guess what happened? The poop hit the fan and stuff started breaking and needed to be done. The things that we should have been maintaining all along and putting money towards, which we didn't do. So, guess what? Everybody's maintenance fees went up every month, have gone up over the past 3 years. And on top of that, we've had special assessments to take care of the things that we ignored because we just hoped that they would never rear their ugly head.
And I want to pull up a comment that really resonates with me because I got a little bit of a story behind this, and then we'll get out of here. But Tom's saying, in 1990, were people complaining because houses weren't at 1945 prices? Absolutely. Everybody has always complained that prices are not the same as what they used to be. I can even my grandfather. The way that I got into the car industry was that my grandfather had a small used car lot, and I went with him to auctions through this car lot and just fell in love with it and started buying and selling cars through his car lot.
Yes.
Eventually went on, got my own dealer's license, got my own. Actually, I bought the spot that we were in, and then he was eventually selling cars on my dealership. But that's the way that we that I started. But our little car dealership was next to this burger place, and you think of like North Carolina, small town, little thing. This little grill, right?
Yeah.
And we would go there and get hamburgers all the time, and he would always complain, well, you know what? I used to pay 13 cents for these hamburgers, and now we're paying $1.50. And this was 13, 14 years ago. And it just made me laugh because in my mind, when we were buying these hamburgers, they were as cheap as dirt. We were paying $1.50, $2 for a hamburger.
Yeah.
And my grandfather was complaining about how expensive it was. But I feel like I'm doing the same thing now with just about everything that I look at. I mean, it's crazy to think how as you just progress, you get used to a certain price of what something should cost. And then your mind doesn't adapt to as prices go up.
Have you gone to the movies recently?
Oh my goodness, it's crazy.
How much?
My wife, me, and a 6-year-old son who loves popcorn, so we gotta get the big one.
Yeah,
I mean it's easy $50.
Gosh, I remember. I don't know, when I was a kid and used to go to the movies on a Saturday, it was $1. Okay, I get that things go up. But one of the things that hasn't gone up at the same rate as the cost of everything is people's incomes. People's incomes relative to what they were when going to the movie was $1 on a Saturday for a kid, to where today it might be $15 to send that kid to the movie theater. I don't think that we've seen a 15x increase in wages in that time. And so I think that's what the problem really is for a lot of people, in that wages just have never kept up with price inflation over the long haul. Maybe I'm wrong.
We hit the car market today. We hit the housing market. We had a history lesson. We talked about inflation. We talked about our golf game. We rhymed a whole bunch. What else could you want from this? If you're not subscribing to this channel and liking the video, then we can't do anything for you.
Yeah, no, we absolutely cannot. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for this, you guys watching. Thank you for being here. Next week.
Yeah, no, I'm in, buddy. I got nowhere to be and nothing else to do on my Tuesdays.
All right, good show. I'm gonna end it.
Yeah, that was good.